been a while since you've heard my voice, hasn't it? You guys seem to really love the Kaguya Apex video on the last one, so I just wanted to put that to the test, and you guys have been absolutely killing it recently with all the support, so I can't thank you guys enough for that. But that's not what you guys are here for. We got ourselves a brand new month, so that means a major update is coming our way, and there's actually not a whole lot if I say so myself. But basically we're going to be going over the 2 new characters, the new event, well I wouldn't say a new event, but rather an old one. A new Covenant, which will be our 5th one, and another SP character. These sources are from Langrisser. Link to the site will be in the description as always for you guys to check out for yourself. So let's get right on into it. Wandering Duelist is one of 2 of the new characters that will be coming. She's part of the Origin, Meteor, and Elist faction. Her talent Lone Avenger, when an ally dies, she heals 20% of HP at 3 stars, 30% at 4 stars, 40 at 5 stars, or 50% of HP when at 6 stars. She can then permanently inflict the attacker with the effect called Chain of Vengeance, whereas when attacked by the Wandering Duelist, damage taken increases all the way up to 30% at 6 stars, which cannot be immunized or be dispelled. After actively attacking after battle, enemies that has this effect will take fixed damage for 0.1 times of her attack at 3 stars, 0.12 times at 4 stars, 0.15 times at 5 stars, and 0.2 times attack at 6 stars. The fixed damage cannot be immunized and can be capped all the way up to 4 times of her attack. She will also need Warner and Meriendo for bonds. If you have Meriendo, then it's totally fine, but without that toughness bond, she will be more squishy, meaning that she won't survive a whole lot of stuff. As for her unique skills, this here is a 1C skill that has a 4-turn cooldown that can then inflict 2 enemies with Chain of Vengeance, which gives damage taken increases from the Wandering Duelist by 20%, which cannot be immunized or be dispelled. That lasts for 2 turns. After using this, she can move 2 blocks right after to attack. Also, buffs on her do not lose their turn duration. The other skill is a 2C that has a 3-turn cooldown, which attacks an enemy dealing 1.6 times physical damage, but before battle, the target and other enemies with Chain of Vengeance have their passive disabled for 2 turns. Then after battle, it pushes the target back by 3 blocks. Then her 3C, which has a 4-turn cooldown, it has a passive that lets her revive for 20% of HP only once every battle. This deals 1.7 times physical damage, which heals 30% of damage dealt as HP after battle, while also giving the target and other enemies that have Chain of Vengeance, which cannot be healed and crit rate reduced by 20% for 2 turns. As you may have noticed, her main gimmick is about her overwhelming the enemies with her Chain of Vengeance effect, but from what I'm seeing from some of these effects, looks like some of the debuffs from the effect can be blocked and be dispelled like her 3C, just for those debuffs alone. So I'm not sure how she will do in PvP, but I say that she might be more useful for rushing or tank push. I don't really have a whole lot to say on her just because she just seems alright, nothing too amazing. For the newer players, although she is part of the Origin faction, which in my opinion is one of the strongest faction you can start off, she could be your strongest character for a while to clear some regular content, but you can totally skip her as well, since you can have someone like Kirikaze or Luin to do damage, and they can also heal themselves as well. Oh, and also they are pretty easy to start up as well. Even though they are SR and R characters, every character in the game are pretty good if they're well built. If you are planning on using it anyways, then make sure to use Freya for the faction buff, and she can guard as well. Then have someone who can heal like Sophia or Thxs. The other new character is Julian, and he's actually pretty good. He's an assassin with a mix of both single target and AoE attacks. But first, his talent. Crit rate increases all the way up to 30% when at 6 stars. When entering battle against an enemy with 90% or less HP, his damage dealt increases all the way up to 40% and heals 30% damage dealt as HP when at 6 stars. For every enemy that has less than 100% HP, his movement increases in accordance to his star level, so at 3 stars, movement increases by 1 up to 2 blocks. At 4 and 5 stars, it will be 2 blocks up to 4 blocks. Then at 6 stars, it will be 3 blocks all the way up to 6 blocks. So yeah, pretty good stuff. He will need Hilda and Lovina for his bonds. He is needed for Girl in the Shell bonds as well, so if you do plan on getting her. Also, I would say make sure you pick up Julian, because I'm not sure when he'll come back. For his 1C skill, it's a passive. When entering battle with an enemy with less than 100% HP, then his damage taken is reduced by 15% and can move 3 blocks right after. This effect has a 1-turn cooldown before you can use it again. His 2C has a 5-turn cooldown that has 20% increased crit rate that deals 0.3 times physical AoE damage that inflicts 2 random debuffs, and if the enemy has less than full HP, then his skill does 50% more damage. Finally, his 3C has a 3-turn cooldown which has a passive, whereas after defeating an enemy, he gains an effect that lets him deal fixed damage for 2 times of his attack whenever he is forced into battle for 1 turn. The skill can ignore guard and attacks an enemy for 1.4 times physical damage that has 30% increased crit rate. When defeating an enemy with this skill, then the skill's cooldown is reduced by 2 and gains a 15% increase to his max HP permanently, which can increase up to 30% by the way, and this cannot be dispelled and heals 15% of HP of it whenever he does increase it. Another insane assassin character, of course. Zlong just loves to keep pumping them out and manages to make each one incredibly insane. The way how this guy works is that as long as the enemy is below 100% HP, he becomes scary. And if they're below 90%, then he becomes a total menace. Cause he's gonna be taking them out 90% of the time if you don't heal your team to full right away. And the way how this works is where the AoE comes in. So basically, you want to use his AoE skill to weaken them low enough, and if the enemy doesn't heal right away, then that's where you want to go in with them, just to snipe them out. But for the most part, it might be just easier to have someone else in your team to do that kind of damage so that Julian can wipe them out so he isn't wasting a turn. So if that's the case, then you probably don't really need an AoE skill with them. You can just bring his 3C and then another ignore guard skill. Then you're just completely set right after. But I feel like Julian is able to have a good chance of one-shotting anyways since his attack can go pretty high. But that below 90% HP thing just makes it where he has a sure chance of killing someone with some additional effects on top of that. So for those Apex players, be prepared because you will see this guy quite often. And I forgot to mention that we have 2 new exclusives. One of them is Lisa, which is a helmet that gives 10% HP, and each time she changes forms, she removes 1 debuff and gains 1 random buff. This is alright, but not exactly terrible, so there's really no need to go for this one unless you really want to. Second one is for Michelle, which is a weapon that gives 10% attack and after dealing damage. It has a 50% chance to inflict 1 stack of burning flame and gains plus 1 increased line skill range for 1 turn that cannot be dispelled. I'm actually really sad that her exclusive is a weapon, but I'm sure they made it like this because having this effect and having Scarlet Reaper would kinda make it considered OP, I guess. It's good, don't get me wrong, but it's just like, do I really want this or nah? Because the fixed damage has helped me a lot. And there are times where I'm just like, man, she barely needs 1 more block for her to get that attack in. But I don't really complain about it too much since her range is already pretty good, while also adding with her 1C on top of that as well. And plus with the burning flame thing, it cannot be dispelled anyways, that lasts for 3 turns. So I don't really say much about that one as well. So I would say it will be totally up to you, whichever you prefer on using this one or the Scarlet Reaper. For the new SP character that we should be getting, it's gonna be SP Ledin. As far as I'm concerned, he basically just got a decent upgrade. Not a whole lot that you'll notice, so let me just explain it a little bit more. His talent allows him to have more damage taken reduction depending on your star level, and is able to guard allies within 1 ring. When melee attacked, he can counter attack, I'm pretty sure all the time now, and will have a chance to attack first for 30% at 3 stars, 40% at 4 stars, 50% at 5 stars, and then at 6 stars, he'll have a 70% chance to attack first. For the skills he gets when you unlock his SP form, he has a passive which is a 1C that lets him be immune to cannot be healed, and after taking action, if he does not have Almighty Guard, then he gets his basic guard skill that lasts for 2 turns, and this thing does have a 2-turn cooldown before it'll activate again. Then his 2C, which has a 2-turn cooldown, attacks an enemy dealing 1.4 times physical damage, and if the enemy is a demon, then before battle, he inflicts damage taken increased by 20% for 2 turns. He's able to heal 30% of damage dealt right after battle, and melee soldiers will also attack while also not being affected by melee penalties. So yeah, not really a bad one. His SP form doesn't really change him that much, but it's still not bad to get as well. His 1C is really nice since it has immunity to heal block, and he can activate his guard without actually using it, if that makes sense. As long as you don't have Almighty Guard, that is. And if you don't know what that is, it's the effect that he gets from his 3C, which is just basically his guard, but it just lasts much longer. So yeah, it's pretty much the same, but the passive is still nice to have as well for the immunity effect. Yeah, His SP is really nice to have, but you don't really necessarily need it. We got our new Covenant, which will be our 5th one, called Odin. By taking a look at the stats here, it's more focused on attack than anything else. For his talent, for every block that you move, Odin gains a stack of Rune Divine Power, which most likely the name will be changed for global. Up to a max of 8 stacks, I'm guessing for a single turn, with a total max of 30 stacks that Odin can have at his first upgrade. At second upgrade, it will cap at 45 stacks, then at the final upgrade, and it can have 60 stacks. For every 15 stacks it has, Odin mobility increases by 1 each time. For its attacking skill, it attacks in 3 straight lines, dealing 0.3 times physical damage for 3 times of Odin attack. Then it will be 4 times at second upgrade, and at final upgrade it will be 5 times of Odin attacks. Then it applies Eternal Gun Mark for 2 turns, and oh, it looks like Odin will actually teleport to the furthest point where it can attack. That's actually pretty interesting. With the Gun Mark thing, I will explain it in just a little bit. Its second skill is an assist one, and the translation is like just everywhere, so I'll try my best here for you guys. Can only cast when there's a gun nail on the field and reclaim it, which I'm gonna assume that it's what they're referring to Odin here, but I could totally be wrong on that. For every mobility increase that it has, Odin gains Meteor Wish up to 11 stacks at first upgrade, 12 stacks at second upgrade, then it will be at 13 stacks at third upgrade. It can move again right after, then the skill is replaced with Holy Gun Piercing. It ignores guard and attacks an enemy with the Eternal Gun Mark effect, which what I was talking about earlier. This will do 2 times damage for every layer of Meteor Wish it has, which will then ignore the enemy's defense by 3%, 4%, and 5%. And for every 1 stack of Rune Divine Power, damage dealt increases by 1 to 3% depending on its upgrade. For its command, which is its third skill, on the first upgrade, everyone's damage dealt increases by 50%, and if within 4 blocks of Odin, they're immune to reduced mobility and cannot be guard. For the second upgrade, it would be 20% increased damage dealt and changes to 5 block range. For the third upgrade, it allows 30% more damage dealt and everyone in general just has those 2 immune effects. You can summon Odin within 5 blocks and will teleport everyone within 8 blocks near it. And its damage dealt increases by 15% up to 120% at first upgrade, 20% to 160% at second upgrade, 30% to 240% at final upgrade for every block moved before actively attacking. Odin himself will gain a command that increases everyone's mobility by 1 and are unaffected by terrain. Also, the way how you get more energy for it is by moving 3 or more blocks. At first I was kinda confused, but after reading it again, I kinda get the gist of it. But one thing I'm really concerned about is that, you know how these Covenants only last for 2 turns? By taking a look at the assist skill, which it can then act again, then the skill is changed to an attacking one. Won't Odin just basically go away after that 1 round since you are using 2 turns with it? So yeah, I'm really not too sure about that one. By taking a look at the stats, you can see that it is capable of giving a ton of attack, so it's really useful for rush box since with that kind of playstyle, all you're gonna think about is just putting up a ton of damage, for a physical team that is, with this one. As for new content, it's just a forbidden battleground and unfortunately, no, you don't get the crystal for SP Ledin, but you can get Narm and Luin SP crystal if you haven't already. And for the Macho Lotto skin, it is gonna be for Elma here, which looks really nice. And that's just about everything I have for you guys. A lot of talking for a few stuff, but I always like to make sure that you guys understand it. If not, then you guys are welcome to ask any questions in the comments and I will do my best to get to every single one of you guys. So feel free to leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more, and yeah, thanks for watching. Your fellow Z.